Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the CW once again. We've got another update as to what the CW is doing with their scheduling for the next year. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos later this year. Okay guys, just want to remind you we're still doing a giveaway. We've got 9 days left until the giveaway finishes, and to enter to win the Flash Season 9, aka the final season on DVD or Blu-ray, all you have to do is get a piece of merch. Doesn't matter what you get. Anyone who supports the channel by getting merch is going to be automatically entered. Obviously the people that have already bought merch are in the competition already, but you've got 9 days left and that's the end of it for that competition. But yeah, thank you to everyone who's been supporting the channel, and shout out to the members. Obviously you'll see them on screen right here. They're a big support towards the channel and I appreciate you guys, and those of you who are just watching, thanks for watching. Let's continue with this and let's get into today's main topic. So the articles are going to be linked in the description below that I'm breaking down. The first one is from the Hollywood Reporter and it says the CW is adding Jesus and sports, but its top programmer says it's still the same network. So obviously that's an interesting title that definitely caught my attention. Okay, so Brad Schwartz, who joined the CW as its entertainment president 6 months ago after Nexstar took over, hasn't won over many diehard fans of the network after he cancelled nearly all of its beloved scripted shows as part of a push by its new ownership station group Nexstar to make it profitable by 2025. Obviously that's entirely true what the article says. No fan has been won over by Brad Schwartz and his plan and Nexstar's plan for the CW. We talked about this in many videos and I'm sure we'll chat about it a bit more in this video, but yeah, the direction they're going is just about money and they really don't care about the fans. So it continues like this, but what Schwartz has done in a relatively short time has been to position the CW in a place where the network can age up its audience, reduce its overhead, so its costs, and secure the key rights needed to make it profitable for the first time ever. To be clear, the CW has never been designed to make money as a network. It was launched as a joint venture between CBS Studios and WBTV in a bid to generate revenue for both studios through selling its programs internationally and to streamers. And with shows like The Flash, Riverdale, Nancy Drew and Dynasty, the CW has delivered millions in profits to its ownership while creating a loyal audience of adults 18 to 34. Obviously that's some good stats to back up what has been previously done before Nexstar took over. It was not about making money, it was about basically creating great TV shows and great content that they could sell internationally. Obviously that's about making money, but then it kind of changed during the pandemic when basically everything started to not go to rival streaming services and not selling them, but putting them on like Max and their own streaming services, and obviously they weren't making extra money with that. But obviously since then Nexstar has taken over. So the article continues: as the streaming wars intensified, the CW's business model no longer made sense to CBS, and Warner's now needed to hold on to those same domestic streaming and international rights for Paramount Plus and Max. Like I said, CBS and Warner's sold a controlling 75% stake in the CW to Nexstar last year, which was huge, prompting longtime network CEO Mark Pedowitz, who famously read every script for every one of the network's shows that crossed his desk, to exit as part of a wholesale change in leadership. Obviously Mark was huge in terms of shaping the CW since the very inception of the CW. Obviously it was a different network initially, and then it continues like this: Nexstar turned instead to Brad Schwartz, the former Pop TV executive who acquired the US rights to Schitt's Creek and ultimately sold the show to Netflix, which helped it to become a critical and commercial success. Now Schwartz hopes to find fellow diamonds in the rough with similarly acquired foreign originals like Sullivan's Crossing and the Spencer Sisters by using broad skewing fair like Jesus drama The Chosen. I think I disagree with that. I don't feel like that is broad skewing. I feel like not many people are interested in watching a TV show about Jesus. I don't know. I feel like that is not broad skewing. I don't know why they said that. But anyway, and a roster of sports including Live Golf and NASCAR, and more to bring in new and older generations who may not have tuned into DC Comics dramas and other genre fare. I mean, I understand bringing in sports, like maybe that was a good idea that, CW should have done already. They did, I think, occasionally have some sports, but yeah, I understand bringing in new shows, but the majority of the shows that they're bringing in are not original to the CW, so like they've already been released elsewhere first and people have seen it, so why would anyone come to the CW to watch it beyond watching live sports? I understand the pull of live sports, and I just don't understand why you would want like a Jesus drama. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And so in this week's TV's Top 5 podcast, which we talked about in a recent video, Schwartz joined them and he actually discussed the evolution of the CW. And he went on to say, Nexstar realizes what works for their stations and what doesn't. One of the clear mandates was that we need to act like broadcasters. We need to get bigger and broader. Obviously, they're talking about Nexstar here. They're not talking about the CW. They're trying to make the CW like Nexstar and like their other networks. So he says, we need to find things that find and attract a broader audience and a more linear audience, and at the same time find shows that can serve a completely unduplicated audience in a streaming environment. The CW acted a bit more like a young adult cable network, which it basically was, and he says, I know the strategy was going to be how do we get bigger and broader, and I also realized that in the fourth quarter, 6 months from now, there was going to be color bars on the network if they didn't get things started. So obviously Brad had to bring in some of those acquisitions and do it quick. Obviously it takes a lot longer to produce your own TV shows and they want to keep the costs down, so why would they have original shows? He says, I didn't really have the strike in mind. I was focused on trying to fill 14 hours a week, 2 hours a night, 7 nights a week of primetime programming in a world where a lot of the old CW shows are ending because they cancelled them all, and we need to fill up a schedule because you cancelled them all. So they've put themselves in this position. So they've gone out, and phase one of that strategy was to go find great stuff that we could air on as quickly as possible. So that was the acquired stuff that had already aired elsewhere. We've seen recently that those shows have been flopping and they've been removing them after 2 episodes, like that Zac Efron show I talked about a while ago. And so he goes on to say that meant getting involved in some unscripted that can be made a little faster, finding some great acquisitions from around the world and start assembling a schedule. Obviously that's a very rough schedule. The strike didn't really come to play when we were first strategizing how to get bigger and broader and start in the fall of 2023. Of course it doesn't matter to them, the strike, because they're not producing any content originally. So I don't know why he's talking about the strike. I guess he was just asked about it. He says, but then as the strike happened, it turns out that our full schedule will have more original scripted content than any other broadcaster, of course, because other broadcasters have content that they make themselves, but obviously Nexstar does not care about what they're doing with the CW. They just want to make it profitable, and they're acquiring shows that have already been made. So why would the network be impacted by the strike? Of course they're not going to get impacted if they're going this strategy. So I really don't understand this. Anyway, let's continue. So to be fair, NBC has unaired new original US produced scripted series like The Irrational and Found, and the stuff you were talking about is acquired content that has aired elsewhere, just like I said. This is THR talking. He says, right, our shows are original and have never been seen here before. He's talking about America. And he says, by the way, one of those NBC shows is Transplant Witches from Canada. So he's trying to back up the CW. But basically, THR is just, putting him in his place a little bit, which is good to hear. And they go on to ask, when I think about the CW and scripted originals, I think of the big studios who have supplied content to the CW, whom the CW is still in business with, but I'll admit that my expectation for the CW under Nexstar and with you at the helm was for more studio-backed scripted originals. But what we've seen so far is the content has already aired elsewhere. Can you explain why these big studios like Riverdale and Kung Fu don't make sense for CW anymore? I really like this questioning from the Hollywood Reporter. It's very blunt, to the point, and it's questions that us fans would be asking Nexstar. So Brad Schwartz gives a big answer, and let's get into this. So we haven't announced a lot of the stuff, but we have a lot of original homegrown scripted content coming, but they really haven't announced anything apart from the CW shows that are being produced by those studios like WBTV. So some things are in production right now. It's phase 2 after we get through this fall. But working with the large studios at the price points that we need to operate at, it's hard to get all the rights that you need, of course, because they don't want to pay any money. And he goes on to say they'll give you your linear rights, a rolling 5 episodes on digital, and a terrible experience so that they can monetize those shows into streaming and other platforms. And we just can't be a place that monetizes with advertising 1 time a week in prime time. We need to be able to monetize our content in more places. Again, going for more of that strategy of making money, and they don't care and they don't really want to work with these big studios if they can avoid it. The new season of Superman and Lois is coming, and you don't have seasons 1, 2 and 3 on your streaming platform. It's just a ridiculous experience, and nobody else operates that way. If you go see the new season of Virgin River on Netflix, the prior 4 seasons are all there. So he's talking about getting the rights for the CW and for Nexstar so that they can make money off of it and have all of the content on their own services. But obviously they are dealing with big studios here. It's the stuff that they own. They own the content. The CW just airs the content once a week and then has it for like 5 episodes. Then it goes over to Max or something like that, or Paramount Plus. So I understand his frustration, but at the same time, that's just the way it is. And I guess they just want to separate themselves from CBS and Warner Brothers because that's how they make it. And so he goes on to say the CW for many years operated almost like a movie theater where CBS and Warner Bros would make movies and put them in the movie theaters for 13 weeks. And the movie theater would sell popcorn, and then they would monetize that content by selling it to streamers and selling it around the world, and it would leave the movie theater. We can't operate that way anymore at the CW, so we have to find ways of making ambitious and great content, whether that's scripted or unscripted, and doing it at a price point where we can make those shows profitable and making sure that we have all of the rights so that we can monetize the content in more places. That's the goal. Now, if we can do that with a major studio, we'll do that with a major studio. If it's co-production with an international partner, we'll do it that way. But we have to find content we love, and you don't do anything because it's cheap. A lot of the shows on the CW are as expensive to make as any other show on broadcast, but we've done deals for those shows that allow it to be profitable for us. So there you go. That's his long-winded answer to that really good question. It's clear his direction and what he intends to do with the CW. Obviously, he is mentioning money, and they really don't care about like what content they have. They'll do a deal with the studio if it's profitable for them. They'll produce content with international partners if it'll make money for them. And that's the end of it. Like, they don't care what content they have, just as long as they're making money. That's pretty much what I'm getting from it. I don't know if you guys are getting the same thing, but yeah, that pretty much does it for this video, guys. Sorry for being a bit ranty again, but everything to do with the CW right now is just very frustrating from a fan perspective. And yeah, that is what Brad Schwartz, the head of the CW, is saying right now. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you guys think about all of this? Also, please be sure to leave a like on this video. It would help the video get spread around. Also, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. But for now, you can click on the top right corner of the screen to watch my latest video, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.
I see red.